Nottingham Forest FC is a Premier League football team founded in 1865 and based in West Bridgford, Nottinghamshire, England. They have won 2 European Cups and are one of only 5 English clubs to have won the UEFA Champions League. They have also won several other titles and display 2 stars above their crest to commemorate their European Cup victories. Their most successful period was in the late 1970s and early 1980s under Brian Clough and Peter Taylor. But to bring back a page of football history, let's go back in time and more specifically in 1865. Nottingham Forest Football Club was created in 1865 and a group of shinty players convened at the Clinton Arms on Shakespeare Street in Nottingham. One member named J.S. Scrimshaw proposed playing association football instead, which was accepted. During the same meeting, the club agreed to buy 12 tasseled caps in Garibaldi red, a color named after the Italian Red Shirts fighters, to serve as the official colors of the team. Nottingham Forest played their first ever official game against Notts County on March 22, 1866. On April 23, 1870, during the team's first league match, William Henry Revis scored the opening goal with John Limbury serving as the club's steward. On this same occasion, Revis received the prize for kicking the ball the farthest, covering a distance of 161 feet 8 inches. Nottingham Forest participated in multiple sports including bandy, shinty, and baseball, with the latter's club winning the British Championship in 1899. They also helped other clubs such as Liverpool, Arsenal, and Brighton and Hove Albion to form. The club's initial application to join the Football League in 1888 was rejected, leading Forest to instead join the Football Alliance in 1889. They won the competition in 1892 before entering the Football League. In their 5th attempt at an FA Cup semi-final, Nottingham Forest won 2-0 against Southampton in a replay during the 1897-98 season. 6 of the cup final team were rested during a league game in which Derby County beat Nottingham Forest 5-0 just 5 days before the final. In the final at Crystal Palace, before 62,000 fans, Arthur Capes scored twice for Forest in the 19th and 42nd minutes, with Derby equalising in the 31st minute. Forest's Willie Ragg was injured, forcing Capes to drop back to midfield. John McPherson scored the final goal for Forest in the 86th minute, securing their 3-1 victory. After finishing 4th in the 1900-2001 Football League season and 5th in the following season, Nottingham Forest began to decline and were relegated for the first time in 1905-2006. However, they were promoted as champions in the next season. The club faced financial troubles and were relegated a second time to the second division in 1911 and had to seek re-election in 1914 after finishing bottom of the league. The outbreak of World War I and the help of the committee members prevented the club from going bankrupt. Grenville Morris, who had scored 213 goals, became the all-time highest scorer for the club after playing for 5 seasons as the club's highest scorer. Nottingham Forest campaigned for entry into the expanded Football League First Division in 1919 but received only 3 votes, with Arsenal and Chelsea gaining the 2 additional top-tier slots. They were promoted as champions in 1921-22 but were relegated as the bottom club in the 1924-25 season, and remained in the second tier until they were relegated to the third division in 1949. Nottingham Forest was promoted back to the first division in 1957 after scoring a record 110 goals in the 1950-51 season. In 1959, they beat Luton Town 2-1 in the FA Cup final, with Roy Dwight and Tommy Wilson scoring the goals. Dwight broke his leg in the 33rd minute, and Forest suffered several injuries throughout the game, reducing them to 9 fit players by the end. However, they held on to win the match, with Bobby McKinley playing in the final winning team captained by Jack Burkett. Nottingham Forest had become the biggest club in Nottingham, surpassing Notts County. Johnny Carey managed a team that included Joe Baker and Ian Storenmore, which remained largely unchanged in their challenge for the 1966-67 Football League title. They defeated title rivals Manchester United 4-1 at the City Ground on October 1st. After a 3-0 win over Aston Villa on April 15th, Forest were in second place, 1 point behind United. However, injuries ultimately took their toll, resulting in Forest finishing as league runners-up and losing to Dave Mackay's Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup semi-final. Nottingham Forest's success in the 1966-67 season was followed by a decline due to poor football management, the unique committee structure, and amateurism, leading to their relegation from the top flight in 1972. After Matt Gillies' departure, short managerial reigns by Dave Mackay and Alan Brown followed, and the committee sacked Brown after a 2-0 defeat by Notts County on Boxing Day. Brian Clough became the manager of Nottingham Forest in January 1975 after a short-lived stint at Leeds United. He signed several players including John McGovern, John O'Hare, and Colin Barrett. He also brought back John Robertson and Martin O'Neill, who had requested transfers under the previous manager. Forest finished 16th in Clough's first season but improved to finish 8th in the following season, with McGovern becoming the club captain. In 1976, Peter Taylor rejoined Brian Clough as his assistant manager, and became the club's talent spotter. Taylor's influence was significant, as he helped to turn several players into top performers, including John Robertson and Tony Woodcock. Together, Clough and Taylor led Forest to win the 1976-77 Anglo-Scottish Cup, the club's first trophy in over 15 years. Clough valued the victory and saw it as a turning point for the club. In their last game of the 1976-77 season, Forest beat Millwall 1-0, finishing in third place and dependent on Bolton Wanderers dropping points in 3 games in hand in the fight for third place. Bolton's loss against Wolves allowed Forest to gain promotion. Taylor followed Kenny Burns, concluding that his reputation as a hard drinker and gambler was exaggerated and sanctioned his £150,000 signing. Burns became FWA Footballer of the Year in 1977-78. Forest won the 1977-78 Football League title, conceding just 24 goals in 42 league games, and became one of the few teams to win the First Division title the season after winning promotion from the Second Division. They also beat Liverpool 1-0 in the 1978 Football League Cup final replay, with Robertson's penalty being the only goal of the game. In the 1978-79 season, Nottingham Forest beat Ipswich Town 5-0 in the FA Charity Shield, and Liverpool ended their 42-match unbeaten league run. Forest signed Trevor Francis for a record £1 million transfer fee in February 1979. They won the European Cup and the League Cup that season, and finished second in the Football League. Forest declined to play in the Intercontinental Cup against Paraguay's Club Olimpia. They won the 1979 European Super Cup against FC Barcelona, but lost the 1979-80 Football League Cup final to Wolves. They won the European Cup again that season, but lost in the first round of the 1980-81 season to CSKA Sofia. The League and European Cup winning squad was broken up, and the rebuilt side did not perform well. Forest lost to Anderlecht in the semi-finals of the 1983-84 UEFA Cup, and this defeat was marred by several controversial refereeing decisions that went against Forest. It was later discovered that the referee, Emilio Guracita Muro, had received a significant sum of money from Anderlecht's chairman before the match. However, Anderlecht was not penalized until 1997, when UEFA banned the club from European competitions for 1 year. In 1988, Forest won the Football League Centenary Tournament final against Sheffield Wednesday on penalties, and they also finished third in the league that year while making it to the FA Cup semi-finals. Stuart Pearce was chosen for the PFA Team of the Year 5 times in a row. In 1989, Clough was involved in a City Ground pitch invasion during a match against QPR in the League Cup and ended up hitting two of his own team's fans while on the pitch. As a result, he received a fine and touchline ban. Forest won the match 5-2. In 1989, Nottingham Forest won the full Members' Cup and the Football League Cup, setting them up for a potential treble of domestic cup wins. However, during the FA Cup semi-finals against Liverpool, the Hillsborough disaster occurred and the match was abandoned. Forest lost the replay and could not compete in the UEFA Cup due to the ban on English clubs in European competitions. They retained the League Cup in 1990 but were still unable to qualify for the UEFA Cup. They reached the FA Cup final in 1991 but lost to Tottenham Hotspur after extra time. In the same year, they signed Teddy Sheringham for a record fee of £2.1 million. Forest won the full Members' Cup final in 1992 but lost the League Cup final to Manchester United. They finished 8th in the league and earned a place in the new Premier League. However, their form declined, and they were relegated at the end of the 1992-93 season. This was followed by Roy Keane's record transfer to Manchester United. After Brian Clough, Frank Clark took over as manager of Forest in May 1993. Clark had previously managed Leyton Orient and led them to promotion from the 4th Division in 1989. He convinced Stuart Pearce to remain at the club and signed new players including Stan Collymore, Lars Bohinen, and Colin Cooper. Forest finished as runners-up in Division 1 in 1993-94 and were promoted to the Premier League. They finished 3rd the following season and qualified for the UEFA Cup but lost Collymore to Liverpool for a record fee. Despite reaching the quarter-finals of the 1995-96 UEFA Cup and finishing 9th in the league, the 1996-97 season was a struggle and Clark left the club in December. Ron Atkinson retired from football management after Forest's relegation in 1999. David Platt spent £12 million on players, but could only achieve 14th and 11th place finishes. Paul Hart took over, but Forest's financial troubles prevented them from signing new players, leading to a 16th place finish in his first season. Despite this, Forest finished 6th in 2002-2003, qualified for the playoffs, but lost to Sheffield United. However, a poor league run and the loss of key players led to Hart's sacking in February 2004. Joe Kinnear was appointed as the manager of Nottingham Forest and led them to a 14th place finish in the league. However, in the following season, Forest dropped to the relegation zone, leading to Kinnear's resignation. Gary Megson took over but could not prevent the club from being relegated to the 3rd Division. Megson left mid-season in 2006, and Frank Barlow and Ian McParland took temporary charge. They engineered a 6-match winning run and finished 7th. Colin Calderwood was appointed as the new manager in May 2006, and under his leadership, Forest won promotion to the 2nd tier in his 2nd year at the club. Nottingham Forest had a successful 2009-2010 season, finishing 3rd in the Championship and making the playoffs, but they were beaten by Blackpool. In the 2010-2011 season, they finished 6th in the Championship and again made the playoffs, but were beaten by Swansea City. Billy Davies was terminated in June 2011 and replaced by Steve McLaren. Forest struggled under McLaren's leadership, and he resigned in October 2011, after which Frank Clark became chairman and Steve Cotterill took over as manager. The owner and previous chairman of the club, Nigel Doughty, died in February 2012. The Al-Hassawi family, who acquired the club in July 2012, selected Sean O'Driscoll as the new manager after interviewing multiple candidates. O'Driscoll, who had previously managed Doncaster Rovers in Crawley Town, was chosen for his reputation of playing attractive, passing football, which was in line with the Forest way. He had also served as a coach for the club under Steve Cotterill during the 2011-12 season. The Al-Hassawi family had a long-term vision for the club, based on a 3- to 5-year plan. In December 2012, Forest was close to the playoff positions in 9th place, but Sean O'Driscoll was sacked after a win over Leeds United. Alex McLeish was then hired but left by mutual agreement after only 40 days. Billy Davies was reappointed but was sacked in March 2014 following a heavy defeat by Derby County. Stuart Pearce took over but was also sacked in February 2015 and replaced by Dougie Freedman. Mark Warburton became the new manager in March 2017, and Forest narrowly avoided relegation on the final day of the 2016-17 season. In May 2017, Evangelos Marinakis took over Nottingham Forest from previous owner Al-Hassawi. Mark Warburton was fired on December 31, 2017 and replaced by Aider Karanka, who made many new signings and improved the team's performance. Karanka left in January 2019 and was replaced by Martin O'Neill, who was later fired and replaced by Sabri Lamucci on the same day. Although Forest narrowly missed the playoffs during Lamucci's first season in charge, he was fired in October 2020 and replaced by Chris Hutton. Hutton was dismissed in September 2021 after failing to win any of the team's first 7 games in the 2021-22 season. Nicholas Randall, the Forest chairman, had promised that the team would return to European football within 5 years, but the club's poor transfers and a toxic culture led them to remain in the Championship for years into Marinakis' ownership. To rectify past mistakes, Forest implemented changes in the summer of 2021 by appointing Dane Murphy as chief executive and George Sirianos as head of recruitment. They aim to have a more analytics-driven transfer policy, targeting younger players who could be sold for a profit, and signing players for no more than £18,000 per week to avoid past short-termism. In September 2021, Steve Cooper was appointed as Nottingham Forest's head coach and led the team to qualify for the playoffs for the first time since 2010-11. Forest defeated Sheffield United on penalties in the playoffs and beat Huddersfield Town 1-0 in the final, earning promotion to the Premier League for the first time since 1998-99. In preparation for the new season, Forest signed 21 players for the first-team squad, breaking the British transfer record. After a poor run of results in April 2023, sporting director Filippo Giraldi was sacked, and in October 2022, Cooper signed a new 3-year contract with the club. In any case, although Nottingham Forest has gone through a difficult period, the team is one of the legends of British football, which is not only a legendary team, but also one of the symbols of English football.